I am now standing at the top of the 7,892 foot Paulina Peak. Paulina Peak is the tallest spot on the rim of the Newberry caldera. Right now we're looking down into the west side of the caldera to Paulina Lake. And then you'll notice that there is an area of dark rock where there are no trees over there on the north side of that eastern part of Paulina Lake. That is a small obsidian flow that came out of a crack, one of the ring fractures of the collapsed caldera, not too long ago. There are two other obsidian flows here in the Newberry caldera, and one of them is called the Big Obsidian Flow because it's really big. So now I'm going to walk towards the east. You can see the signboard here talking about Newberry being a loner volcano, and that's because it is so far out of the relatively north-south line of all of the Cascade volcanoes. Here we have a small map showing the green is the outline for the Newberry Volcanic National Monument. We are looking down onto Paulina Lake, right? You can see the "You Are Here" pink arrow of Paulina Peak. And when we were at Lava River Butte, so here we are now, we came down 97 and then up in our car up to here, and I will warn you that this road coming up to Paulina Peak from around the Paulina Visitor Center space is gravel most of the way and heavily washboarded, if you know what I mean. So if you're going to drive up here yourself, be very, very careful. There's no guardrails on it. So we came from Lava Butte at the Lava Lands Visitor Center, where I was taking other previous footage, and drove down 97 and then took Road 21 up into Newberry Caldera. Okay, so there's Paulina Lake. If it was a clear day, we would be able to see most of the Northern Oregon Cascades in the distance. There's the Interlake Obsidian Flow that I showed you earlier. And then there's several pumice cones here in the center part. I'll show you the Big Obsidian Flow, maybe not all of it, but certainly the upper portion of it in a little bit. And then there's the East Lake Obsidian Flow and East Lake in the eastern part of the caldera. This used to be all one big lake, but then these eruptions here took place in the middle of the caldera, and that caused one lake to become two smaller lakes. So now I'm looking east here, and you can see the blue of East Lake there in the distance, maybe. Here's some intrepid hikers coming back from a hike. We're looking east from Newberry. Newberry is, this part of Newberry is really quite tall. It's extremely large. Shield volcanoes have a tendency to be very large in the base, and it's bimodal, meaning that the original volcano was built out of basalt, which is a volcanic rock that is rich in iron and magnesium. And then it changed to a more silicic-rich eruption phase, and that was when the top of the volcano collapsed into the caldera, and then many of these more recent eruptions, like the Big Obsidian Flow that you see down here, and that smaller one that I showed you, they actually erupted along those fractures, those ring fractures that developed when the top of the mountain collapsed into itself into a caldera. Now on the flanks of all shield volcanoes, and this one is no exception to this, you will get parasitic eruptions, and you can see a lot of these forested hills out here to the southeast, south, and also Lava Butte that I showed you in another video. These are parasitic eruptions off of the main shield volcano, like they're on the flanks of the shield volcano. And some of these parasitic eruptions off the north flank of Newberry actually flowed quite a bit north from here, and is the lava that is abutted up against Smith Rocks, with the Crooked River cutting down through between Smith Rocks and that lava flow, and also is the lava that filled the old Crooked River Gorge and is now being cut down through by the modern Crooked River. And I'll have those two spots highlighted in a different virtual field trip. So there's a lot to see here in Newberry Caldera. At the west end of Paulina Lake, there is an overflow that creates Paulina Falls. And if you are on the road going back out of the caldera, that makes a nice stop and picnic spot, and also hike down into the bottom of Paulina Falls. You can see the Cascades in the distance. We're getting into later afternoon here, so it's kind of hazy, especially because we had that fire north of here earlier this week. That tall kind of triangular peak, the taller one is Mount Bachelor. You can barely see the haze of South Sister, and all the rest of them are shadowed in that wood smoke fire smoke.